There's a quiet moment, isn't there? When the noise of the day finally settles and you're left alone with yourself. Maybe it's late at night or early in the morning when the world feels suspended and the weight of your thoughts becomes impossible to ignore. You're not sure how you got here. You're not even sure where here is. But somewhere along the way, your mind became a room with too many doors, and you've been opening them all, one after the other, searching for something you can't quite name. Answers, clarity, peace. But the more you search, the more tangled it becomes. The more you think, the heavier it feels. And yet, you can't stop. You've heard the saying, just stop overthinking. But it's not that simple, is it? Because the moment you try to stop, you're already thinking about not thinking. It's a loop, a spiral, a current pulling you under, even as you're trying to swim toward the surface. I know. I've been there. Maybe I'm even there now, sitting with you in this moment. Overthinking isn't just a habit. It's not just a cliche or a phase. It's a symptom, a signal that something deeper is calling for your attention. It's the mind's way of saying, there's more here. Look closer. But instead of looking, we often start analyzing. We turn the moment into a problem to be solved, a puzzle to be cracked. And here's the thing, you can't think your way out of overthinking. It sounds counterintuitive, I know. After all, your mind is your greatest tool. It's helped you navigate challenges, solve problems, and piece together the fragments of your life. It's carried you this far. But when it becomes the only lens through which you see the world, it can also become a cage. Imagine trying to use a hammer to paint a canvas. Sure, you might make progress, but you're using the wrong tool for the job. Thinking is powerful, but it's not the only way forward. So what do you do when the very thing you rely on, your mind, becomes the obstacle? The first step is to stop fighting it. To stop trying to outthink the overthinking. Instead, step back. Observe. Not from a place of judgment, but from a place of curiosity. What's really happening here? What's beneath the surface of these thoughts? Because overthinking isn't the enemy. It's a messenger. And if you listen closely, it's trying to tell you something. Maybe it's fear. Maybe it's uncertainty. Maybe it's a need for control in a world that feels unpredictable. Or maybe it's simply exhaustion, a mind that's been running on fumes for far too long. Whatever it is, it's not going to be solved by more thinking. It's going to be solved by presence. By stepping into the moment exactly as it is and letting the noise settle on its own. Think of it like a glass of muddy water. If you keep stirring it, it'll stay cloudy. But if you let it sit, the sediment will slowly sink to the bottom and the water will clear. Your mind is the same. So, for now, let's just be here. Let's not rush to fix or figure anything out. Let's simply acknowledge the weight, the quiet, invisible burden you've been carrying. And let's begin there. Because this isn't about finding the right thought or the perfect solution. It's about learning to sit with what's already here. And sometimes, that's where the real clarity begins. Have you ever traced a river back to its source? It's rarely a straight path. The water winds, curves, and carves its way through the land, shaped by everything it encounters. And yet, no matter how far it travels, it always leads back to the beginning, to the place where it first began to flow. Overthinking is like that river. It may feel like a chaotic swirl of thoughts, but if you follow it far enough, you'll find its roots. A quiet spring, hidden beneath layers of complexity, where something deeper is quietly calling out. So, let's follow it together. Overthinking doesn't start in the mind. It starts in the body, in the gut, in the heart. It begins as a whisper, a faint signal that something isn't quite right. But instead of listening to that signal, we often bury it. We turn it into a problem. We intellectualize it, analyze it, and try to fix it. But the truth is, overthinking isn't the problem. It's a response, a coping mechanism forged over time. Think of it like a fingerprint. It's unique to you, shaped by your experiences, your fears, your unmet needs. Maybe it began in childhood, when you learned that being prepared, always thinking ahead, was the only way to feel safe. Or maybe it grew in adulthood, as you faced uncertainty and tried to control the uncontrollable. Whatever its origin, it's there. And it's trying to protect you. But here's the paradox. The very thing that's trying to protect you is also keeping you stuck. So, let's pause here for a moment. Let's ask ourselves, what's really at the core of this? Is it fear? Fear of failure? Fear of rejection? Fear of the unknown? Is it a need for control? A desire to map out every possibility to avoid the sting of uncertainty? Or is it something subtler, a longing for meaning, for connection, for a sense of purpose that feels just out of reach? These questions aren't meant to be answered quickly. They're meant to be felt. Because the roots of overthinking aren't logical. They're emotional. And emotions don't respond to reason. They respond to presence. Let me share something with you. There's a moment I find myself returning to often, a quiet, unremarkable evening when I was sitting at my desk, staring at a blank page. I had a deadline looming, but instead of writing, I was lost in a maze of thoughts. What if this isn't good enough? What if they don't like it? What if I'm wasting my time? It wasn't until I stepped away, until I sat by the window and just breathed, that I realized what was really going on. It wasn't about the deadline. It wasn't even about the writing. It was about something deeper, a fear of being seen, of being judged, of not measuring up. And in that moment, something shifted. I stopped trying to think my way out of it. Instead, I let myself feel it. The vulnerability, the uncertainty, the weight of it all. And slowly, the noise began to quiet. This is the paradox of overthinking. The more we try to escape it, the tighter its grip becomes. But when we turn toward it, when we meet it with curiosity instead of resistance, it begins to lose its power. It's like standing in a storm. If you fight against the wind, it'll only push you harder. But if you relax into it, if you let it move through you, you'll find your balance again. So here's an invitation. The next time you find yourself caught in the spiral, pause. Take a breath. And ask yourself, what's beneath this? Not as a problem to solve, but as a feeling to acknowledge. Not as a question to answer, but as a moment to experience. Because the roots of overthinking aren't something to fix. There's something to understand. And as we begin to understand them, we begin to see ourselves more clearly. Not as someone who's broken, but as someone who's learning. Not as someone who's trapped, but as someone who's growing. And that, perhaps, is where the real journey begins. There's a moment in the heart of a storm when the wind seems to pause, and the world holds its breath. It's a fleeting instant, but in that space, there's a kind of stillness, a quiet that feels almost sacred. Overthinking is like that storm. It's chaotic, relentless, and overwhelming. But beneath it, there's a stillness waiting to be found. So, let's find it together. Imagine you're standing in the middle of a forest. The trees are tall, their branches swaying in the wind. Leaves rustle, and the air is alive with the sounds of nature. But if you listen closely, there's something else, a silence that exists beneath the noise. It's not the absence of sound, but the presence of something deeper. That's the stillness I'm talking about. It's not something you can force or create. It's already there, waiting for you to notice it. So, how do you find it? Start with your breath. Take a moment to close your eyes. Feel the air as it enters your body, filling your lungs. Notice the rise and fall of your chest, the rhythm of your heartbeat, the weight of your body against the chair. This is your anchor. When the storm of thoughts begins to swirl, return to this. Not as a way to escape, but as a way to ground yourself. Because the stillness isn't about stopping the storm. It's about finding your center within it. Now, grab a pen and paper. Write down one thought that's been circling your mind. It doesn't have to be profound or complicated. It could be something as simple as, I'm worried about tomorrow, or I feel stuck. Now, look at it. Not as a problem to solve, but as a piece of information. What does it tell you? Maybe it's a sign that you're carrying too much. Maybe it's a reminder to slow down. Or maybe it's just a thought, nothing more, nothing less. The act of writing it down creates a kind of distance. It takes the thought out of your head and puts it on the page where you can see it more clearly. And in that clarity, there's space. Here's the deeper truth. Overthinking thrives on uncertainty. It feeds on the unknown, the unspoken, the unresolved. But when you bring it into the light, when you name it, write it, or simply acknowledge it, it loses some of its power. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. The shadows don't disappear, but they become less intimidating. So, the next time you feel the storm building, try this. Pause. Breathe. Write. Not to fix or change anything, but to see it more clearly. Because the stillness isn't about escaping the storm. It's about learning to stand in the rain without getting swept away. And in that space, you might find something unexpected, a sense of peace, a moment of clarity, or simply the knowledge that you're okay, even when the storm is raging. That's the gift of stillness. It's not a destination. It's a practice. And it's always there, waiting for you to return. Let's circle back to where we started. That quiet moment. The one where the noise of the day has settled and you're left alone with yourself. It's still here. It's always here. You've carried this weight for a while now. Maybe you've even started to believe it's a part of you, that the overthinking, the endless spiral of thoughts, is who you are. But it's not. It's just a pattern, a habit, a way of being that you've learned over time. And like all habits, it can be unlearned. Here's what I've come to understand. Overthinking isn't about the thoughts themselves. It's about the distance we create between ourselves and the present moment. It's about the stories we tell, the fears we amplify, and the uncertainty we try to outrun. But the present moment? It's always here. And it's always enough. So, how do you return to it? You don't have to do anything grand. You don't have to meditate for hours or write pages of journal entries. You don't even have to fix anything. You just have to show up. Start with your breath. Again, feel it. The cool air entering your nostrils, the warmth as it leaves. Notice the rhythm, the way it rises and falls like waves on a shore. This is your anchor. When the thoughts come, and they will gently bring yourself back to this. Not by force, but by invitation. Here I am, you might say to yourself. Here I am in this moment. Here I am, breathing. Here I am, alive. It's not about quieting the mind completely. It's about creating space within it. And in that space, something begins to shift. The thoughts don't stop, but they lose their urgency. The weight doesn't disappear, but it feels lighter. The storm doesn't end, but you find your footing within it. This is the practice. Not perfection. Not enlightenment. Just presence. So, the next time you find yourself lost in the noise, remember this. You are not your thoughts. You are not the storm. You are the stillness beneath it. And that stillness is always here, waiting for you to return. This isn't the end of the journey. It's just the beginning. Because the stillness isn't something you find once and then forget. It's something you come back to again and again, like a compass guiding you home. So, whenever you're ready, whenever the weight feels too heavy, the noise too loud, come back here. Breathe. Be. And know that you're exactly where you need to be.